if it's not done.
There we go, guys. We're live.
Great. All right.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Nico. Hi, Emilian. How are you doing?
Great. What about you, Joa?
Good, good, good. So now we're live, so we can start. So hi, everyone. Today we're with Nico, CTO from Arcium, and Emilian, Privacy GCR from Arcium. So very special episode. Is going to be great because first of all, everyone is bullish for Arcium. It's a hard time right now, on the market, obviously, but everyone is building. We're building great project and so on, and Arcium is obviously one of them. Then maybe we'll start with the classic. Nico, you can start with an introduction, and then Emilian as well. You can introduce yourself to the community, and then we can start talking a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for having us. For myself, I'm Nico, and as my little thing on the screen says, I'm the CTO and one of the co-founders of Arcium. So that means most of my day is usually spent doing cryptography and programming and whatnot to make all the privacy things that we claim actually happen. So Emilian?
Yeah, I'm Emilian. I do, mostly marketing for Arcium. I study computer science, but I'm more on the non-coding, non-engineering side of things here. Joined Arcium 1.5 years ago. I've always been very interested in privacy, been writing about it for a long time, and I got in contact with the theme actually through my X account, and ever since I worked for Arcium for 1.5 years now.
Okay. So beautiful profile as you can see, and as you already know right now. So I met Nico. Nico, I think I met you in Barcelona, right?
I think it was a little bit later. I think you met the other founders in Barcelona 4 years or something ago. But I think I met you in Miami actually for the first time.
Okay. Yeah. I remember in Barcelona. Okay. It was Yannick and Lucas and okay. And Julian. Yes, and the reason why I said that is because you guys has been there. You guys are OG. It's been a while that you've been there, and you didn't start Arcium is the fruit of a previous project even before. So maybe you can give it a little bit of a background because you're the real OG over here, so people can really understand what's going on and that it's not just randomly that you're here.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess a bit more on the history then. As Bourgeois said, initially what we were building was another product, at this point, 4 years ago or something like this, which was called Elusive back then, which was a little bit similar to, I suppose, a Zcash implementation on Solana. So it allowed you to do private transfers using ZK, but really not much more than that. We built this out, and we were the first privacy product on Solana ever, I'm pretty sure. We were running this for probably 1.5 years, 2 years, something like this. And it was doing decently well and whatnot. But what we realized pretty quickly is since you were only able to do private transfers, we would speak to our users, and they would say, yeah, I like doing private transfers with it. That's nice and all. But most of the time when I'm using Solana and when I'm using a blockchain, I'm not transferring back and forth between two wallets all day. On the contrary, most of the time I'm interacting with, DEXs or other on-chain applications. How can I do that, privately? And at first, what we built, at first we tried to build a sort of half and a half solution to this, in the sense that you have private funds, essentially take them out of the private balance, and then publicly, do a swap or whatever it may be, and then put it back into your private balance. But at the end of the day, this is I would argue, not really a great solution, because people can still see what you're doing, and you have to, be super careful about using it correctly, because, yeah, essentially, if you deposit into your private balance, take it back out to do a swap, and then put it back in, it's pretty obvious that the initial deposit is the guy who did the swap in public. So, we took a step back and we thought about, okay, how can we enable fully private execution? Fully private execution in the sense that you can do a swap, or you can, build any application that you can build in plain text in an encrypted manner. And what we sort of realized then is that the technology that we were using at the time, which was zero-knowledge proofs, was sort of limiting. Since, I can, if of interest, I can expand on why this is in a second. But basically, it limited you since you weren't able to have this thing called private shared state, which is, most smart contracts utilize shared state. And so we had to think, okay, what technology can we use to enable this? Landed on MPC, secure multi-party computation. And ultimately, this is what we built out into Arcium, which is, I would argue, the second coming of privacy, or privacy 2.0, as Millian likes to call it, wherein you can, not just do simple transfers or something, but really have any application that exists in plain text and simply convert it to a private equivalent. And that's sort of how Arcium came to be from there.
Nice. And just as well, so the audience really understands, maybe you can also share what's your background, what you did before, and also where you're based actually right now, so people have a full picture, or your profile and why you guys are solid.
Yeah, for sure. So my background is in math and computer science. That's what I studied. Prior to working on privacy tech via Elusive/Arcium, I actually worked for a company that used trusted execution environments, which is, a privacy solution as well, but one that I personally am quite bearish on, since, on one hand, having worked with it myself a little bit, and just the number of exploits that came with them recently. For context, for people who might not know what this is, trusted execution environments, or TEs for short. The idea here is basically that you say, instead of saying, okay, we do some cryptography, math-related things to be able to privately interact with data, we say, what if we just have a special type of computer chip, and this computer chip isn't connected directly to regular RAM or CPU or whatnot, and runs separately, and in that way has privacy, which, for the most part works decently well, but has the main, downside that when I say for the most part, it means for some parts it works extremely badly. And this is because, as opposed to solutions that are based on math, where you can say, okay, because I know these mathematical properties are true, I can, develop a proof that tells me this primitive built on top of this other stuff is secure and is private. You simply can't do that with hardware, because you can't, at least today, you can't prove this computer chip isn't hackable via some, electron microscope or via some exploit or whatnot. So I guess
it's quite funny that, quote unquote, funny that you said that you bearish TEE, because everyone is we at Nosana, we are an AI infrastructure, and everyone is asking us for TEE solutions and so on. And now you're telling me that, but I can bearish TEE for all the reasons that you mentioned. So I kind of like it, because it balances a little bit the hype, because more and more people are asking for TEE because they feel secure. They feel okay, privacy, it's going to be in a trusted environment, and so on and so on. And it's quite good that you're sharing this. And also, I also think that Millian, you share on X, you take regarding TEE. Maybe you want to share it here as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty vocal on X, but when it comes to like AI inference, I think it's a different case. Today TEs are performant when it comes to AI inference. Obviously, cryptographic solutions have more overhead in that sense, but I think we shouldn't put too much trust into trust execution environments. At the end of the day, they are controlled by a couple mega corporations. We don't really understand what's going on behind the hood, and it's a completely centralized solution. So we're kind of stepping away from the crypto ethos and sacrificing it with ease. And I understand that for some use cases, it is maybe the best choice today. But I don't think we should believe that this should be the ideal solution, because we can do so much better and we can build so much more trustless solutions that have a cryptographically, zero, close to zero chance of leaking stuff, whereas Ts have been exploited multiple times before, as you can see on sgx.fail, or any of the recent exploits that have happened the last year.
Okay, but then why are most of the, let's say, startups or like people outside, like they're like bullish TE then for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think as Million said, one of the benefits that TEs give you as opposed to cryptographic solutions today is that generally speaking, they're faster for, especially workloads that require a ton of data, so to say. However, I think the important thing to extrapolate there, again, as Million said also, is on one hand that you shouldn't take the conclusion that just because they're faster today, that this is the end game for privacy. And I think this is kind of what's scary to see that, unfortunately, a decent amount of people seem to make the conclusion that, oh, these are faster and for the most part secure. That means, we can use them for everything and anything. Yeah, so that's, and on the other side as well, if you looked at, cryptography just throughout history as well, you might have said, oh, ciphers or like, any type of cryptography 50 years ago, for example, or even just 5 years ago, you might argue, oh, it's way too slow, it's not efficient enough, whatnot. But as hardware gets better and as algorithms get better, and as cryptographers, I suppose, get better as well, these things always improve. And yeah, I would argue the chance of making MPC and other cryptographic primitives faster and more efficient so that they can serve all use cases, including the subset that are better served by TEs today, is a higher chance than saying, oh, we find some silver bullets that suddenly makes TEs fully secure. So, yeah.
Okay. Very clear. I appreciate the insight. And also, like, I have other questions regarding the MPC and so on. I want to jump on it. But before doing that, I think it's good that we discuss as well, like a little bit with Million. So Million, we can see your face today because obviously you're embracing privacy today, which is good. And but trust me, guys, there is a beautiful face behind this logo. So maybe
Thank you very
Million
much.
should give, the bot. So maybe you can give a little bit more, like share your story a little bit more before Arcium and why you joined. You already briefly mentioned it, but like I think you have a beautiful story in the way you joined Arcium. That's what beautiful. So that would be good if you share it like a little bit with the team, and also where you're based.
Yeah, I mean, I'm based a bit everywhere, but originally I'm from Norway, raised and born, been there most of my life. But yeah, I was always fascinated by computer science, or not always, but I would say, I got my first computer at 10, started playing Minecraft, then I started playing CSGO. I got into these different online communities, and yeah, I would say in the CSGO community, I got kind of involved with CSGO skins, and there was a big economy around this. And I would say through this community, I got first introduced to crypto. So I think that's my gateway into crypto as a whole. In 2018, I started looking a bit into it. but not much until 2021. And I was fascinated by computer science since I was around 16. Started coding myself in my free time after school and all this. Studied computer science. Then I wrote about privacy. I always thought that what we're building here is the new biggest unlock in crypto that we've had in a long time. So I got so nerd snapped by what I call privacy 2.0, and I started writing about it, doing some research articles on it and the projects in the space. And through this, through my content, I got in contact with Alex from Arcium, who's also half Norwegian. So we speak both English and Norwegian.
That's
Yeah,
why.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that was pretty fun. And started doing some marketing stuff for Arcium. Now it's like our marketing ecosystem. I'm mostly involved there. And started September 2024. And it's been a great ride. Ever since I joined, I just got more and more optimistic about the future, and I'm very impressed by the team and the culture we have here at Arcium. So yeah, that's basically how I got into Arcium.
So Nico is a good boss to have.
Yeah, Nico is incredibly smart. It's always great to have a chat with him.
Yeah, he has to say that because I'm on the call.
It's actually true, but
yeah. And how many guys are you in the team right now?
We're 17 people.
Okay.
If I'm right, Nico.
That's solid.
Yeah.
That's solid. And I have a quick question. In terms of because Nico, you're like in Asia. How is the ecosystem embracing privacy over there? Are they open to it? Because like not all, I would say, countries are open to it. Like we all know that Breakpoint is gonna be in London. I don't know if you guys will be welcome over there. So maybe you can explain a little bit the difference between the different regulations and the different countries ecosystem, and the challenge that you might face as well, because it's not an easy play that you guys are doing. It comes with a lot of pros and cons. So that would be good to explain a little bit to the audience what is behind all of this.
Yeah, for sure. So I think the most important thing to remember about the product here in the first place is that, since we're building privacy tooling that allows for encrypted execution in the general case, anyone building an application on top of this can essentially decide what level of privacy they want. And what I mean by this is that by default, if you use, the Arcium tooling, you can build an application where everything is fully encrypted. No one ever sees anything, and nothing gets decrypted under any circumstance, in theory. But as you said, as you correctly stated, depending on regulation of whichever country you might be in, some teams, for them that might not work. For some others that that might work. And I think this is really what the important unlock is there. Because some other privacy primitives, for example, don't give you this level of programmability where you can say, under these very specific circumstances, things get decrypted. Under these very specific circumstances, they do not. Usually, if you have, for example, AES encryption or something, it's sort of things are encrypted or they're not. But the fun thing about programmable privacy is you can have if statements in your encryption scheme, so to say, for example, wherein you can basically encode these conditions. So looking at the teams that we have building on top of us, I'm proud to say we have teams really from all over the world, from the US, from Asia, from Europe, I think some from Africa even as well, and some from Australia too. And for all these, they have slightly different preferences to what level of privacy they want to provide to their users. But I think for us as like base layer infrastructure, we shouldn't really be opinionated on this specifically. Like we should opt for the most extreme, I suppose, of like full encryption, providing it as an option. But having a level of programmability such that each team can, abide by whatever legal or up to their personal preference conditions they prefer.
Okay, so basically what you're trying to say is like it's really the application that can be built on top of Arcium. At the end of the day, these are like the builders that have the final saying if they want to go like fully encrypted, or if they want to go partially encrypted or whatever. But at least they have the possibility to do it.
Exactly. By default, everything's fully encrypted. But if builders want to partially decrypt some parts of their specific application, they can of course do that.
Okay, that's really good. That at least like they have the choice, and the possibility to do it, which is better than not having the choice. Okay, I like it. And then as you mentioned as well, and that's very fair to complete it, is with the different regulations that like obviously like some places where you will have to be a little bit more careful, but that's something like like you have all the legal aspects that will be covered, and that's something that will take with time as well. Yeah. Okay, next point. Then I want to discuss with you guys. You guys mentioned MCP, all right? We started from 0 to 100. We started discussing straight away the product and so on. So, Nico, you're the CTO, and I would like you to explain a little bit more how, you explain how you came up with this and why it is important. But I would like to understand. I would like you to explain a little bit more how does it work? What are MCP properly, if you can define it, and how does it work from a technical point of view, and maybe Milian, you can give as well an explanation from a non-technical point of view for the people that are not technical, if you feel.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. First, I know on Solana there's a lot of discussion around MCP at the moment. However, we are building with MPC. Which stands for Secure Multi-Party Computation. I guess the S part falls away in the abbreviation, so multi-party computation. And just at a high level, the main idea of this is basically that we have some secret data that we want to compute some function over. One example that I commonly like to give is, for example, we have an order book that has different encrypted orders inside of it. And we have some algorithm that basically takes this order book as an input, and then essentially is able to tell you, okay, which of these orders are matching to one another. And essentially what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to take encrypted orders, run the matching algorithm, for example, without ever revealing what any of these encrypted orders are, or without the person that's running the matching algorithm having to decrypt the orders to match them to one another. Yes. And essentially the high-level flow of or the high-level idea of how MPC works is there a way that I can write in this thing or not? Otherwise I can just explain without, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you can write here. I can ask this in the background, but you can already.
No, it's all good.
Check.
Yeah, no. Okay. So the main idea is basically, let's say we have some secret number X, and we have some secret number Y, and we want to calculate what is X plus Y without any of us three actually knowing what the value of X or what the value of Y is. And the way that this works is that we split X and we split Y into so-called secret shares, meaning that we take X and we split it into three pieces, like X1, X2, X3. I receive X1, Bourgeois, you receive X2, and Million receives X3, for example. And we do the same thing for Y as well. So I have X1, Y1, you have X2, Y2, and Million has X3, Y3. And the property here is that you can say X1 plus X2 plus X3 gives you back the original X, if that makes sense so far. Okay, and then basically this is where the board would be, something to write would be probably a little bit more helpful, but bear with me. The idea is basically, if you want to calculate what is X plus Y, what we can do for that, for example, is that I do X1 plus Y1 on my own, you do X2 plus Y2, and Million does X3 plus Y3. And then each of us has a sum of these shares. And then what we basically do is each of us puts all the sum of these two shares, we publish them. So it means we then have 3 values, x1 plus y1 from me, x2 plus y2 from you, and x3 plus y3 from million. And if we add these shares all together, this is the same as if we had just done x plus y at the beginning. However, without any of us learning what the actual full value of x and y is. So this is how you can basically do addition of 2 values without any of the parties participating in calculating the addition, knowing what the value is. So yeah, that's addition. Then the other operation is multiplication, and I think this one, without writing, unfortunately, I don't think it's possible I don't think it's possible to explain it in a meaningful way without everyone just getting sort of confused, because it requires a little bit more math. But for viewers who might be interested, just look up Beaver's trick on YouTube or just on the internet, and you can probably find a lot of great articles or little videos that explain how it works. But basically, it's the same idea as for addition. It allows you to split values into shares, and then it allows us to calculate x times y without ever revealing what x and y is. And then basically, once you have these 2 basic building blocks of addition and multiplication, you can already build a ton of algorithms on top of this by basically saying, okay, I have this complicated formula. How do I break this down into addition and multiplication? And that, basically that. And so, at this point, I think it would be important to state that, if you're building on Arcium, you don't actually have to write everything just in terms of additions and multiplications, obviously. We wrote a custom Rust compiler, so you can write regular Rust, and then, our compiler takes care of transforming that into these basic operations. I mean, that's a high level of how MPC works. I'm not sure how much of that was followable.
Okay. Millian, maybe you want to add something on top of it. I think it was pretty clear to me. Like before, maybe Millian, you had the point. The way I understand it, then it's like we solve the mathematical problem together, by splitting a little bit each part, but also it's like we solve a puzzle together, and each one of us has a part of the puzzle, and that's why I create the privacy. And maybe you can add something on top of it, Millian, just to make sure that I got it right.
Yeah. I mean, essentially what all this does is that it lets you compute on encrypted data. Like you can process private data without anyone ever learning what the private data is. So it's the same. Essentially, it achieves the same thing as FHE, but it does it in a different way for end users, right? You just compute over a function that is encrypted or secret shared, and you can still get a result, get some insights out of it. But yeah, and beyond just having the cryptographic method, we make it easier than ever to actually build this out. If you were to do all this by yourself, you would obviously need all these cryptographers to build this. That would take many years, right? So with Arcium, you just write normal Rust code like any Solana developer is doing, and there's no need to be a cryptographer or to be skilled in cryptography to build privacy-preserving applications. And also what this unlocks is entirely new applications, things we've never seen before in crypto. And this is the big unlock I like to think of. As we now can get a whole new design space of applications and use cases in crypto and AI and all other sorts of sectors that could benefit from getting insights from private data without ever revealing it and staying compliant in that sense.
Okay. I mean, to me, it's pretty clear. Like, I know, Nico, you wanted to draw it and so on, but it seems pretty clear. And I like the intuition behind it. And also what I like to hear is that you guys are also working hard, I mean, from what I'm hearing, to make sure that people can build in a seamless way on top of Arcium. And then that will lead maybe to my next question. Do you plan to leverage AI to do so? You know, like, because people are vibe coding, there are like so many tools right now. So how, like, what is your vision regarding that aspect to make sure that, you know, like people can really like build on top of it, and also like now there's this AI race. So what do you want to leverage on this? Because people are like a lot of dev or software engineers and stuff like that are even afraid to lose their job because what we can do with Cloud Cowork, with vibe coding or whatever is insane. So how do you guys plan to leverage this, knowing that as well, like there is a data layer with like sensitive data sometimes. So yeah, you have a huge play over there, and I would like to hear that.
Yeah, so I think there's like two aspects of this question. One is like, how do we leverage it in terms of providing DevX to developers building on Arcium at the moment? And the second, like more broadly, in what sense is privacy relevant for these types of things? I'll start with the first one with the DevX aspect. So on this one, you know, like Million said, and I touched upon, you know, I just gave you this explanation, which, yeah, a high level of like how the math behind it functions and whatnot. But you know, unfortunately, if you were to implement this from scratch, as you know, we know ourselves, it's quite difficult and requires quite a bit of expertise of like cryptography and whatnot. And so, and unfortunately, as is the case with most cryptography and security implementations of things, if you do just one little part wrong, then most likely your whole system is insecure and everything breaks apart. So this means on the surface level, if, you know, as a dev to use Arcium, you would have to understand how MPC works, have to understand all the cryptography behind it, implement it from scratch and whatnot. Vibe coding with that would not be great because, you know, you would tell, you know, Claude Code or something, please implement this MPC protocol for me. Then a week later, you know, all your privacy will be leaked or your protocol would be hacked. And then you'd say, oh, wait, you didn't validate a MAC here. And it would be like, you're absolutely correct. Sorry about that. But at that point, it's too late. So for us, because of that, it's very important that we, you know, especially for devs using AI or devs not wanting to, you know, understand all the details of how Arcium functions, we provide a DevX that's as seamless as possible, which means that, you know, when you're writing Arcium programs, you're writing regular Rust code. We have a compiler that takes care of transforming that into the cryptographic primitives that are necessary. And also on top of that, we publish various skills that essentially are compatible with Claude Code or ChatGPT Codex or whatnot. So that also, you know, not only you yourself don't have to, you know, read up on all the details, but even for an AI model, you don't, you know, you can give it a link to our docs, and on there we have, you know, a set of skills that essentially these AI models can pick up directly, and then write, you know, code that is, yeah, as compatible as possible out of the box with the tooling that we provide for building private applications on Arcium. Yeah, and then basically, you know, more generally speaking about like how we think about using or how we think about the effect of privacy on these types of applications. Like we think privacy is obviously insanely important for AI also. This is proven by the fact that about, I think, a year ago, or maybe a little bit longer than a year ago, we actually acquired a Web2 company to be part of Arcium, which was called Infer. And Infer, at the time, they were the leading private AI company in Web2, so to say. And they have built this insanely efficient MPC protocol called Manticore, which, you know, as opposed to the one that we developed in-house up until then, which is called Cerberus, which is more focused on like, DeFi and whatnot applications. This one is specifically focused on training AI models and AI inference, so to say, and those various optimizations around that type of thing. So for us, this is obviously a big area of focus as well, especially because it, you know, unlocks a whole bunch of other use cases. You know, I can get more about this in a second, but specifically for coding stuff, you know, at the moment, most coding agents are trained on, you know, software books on the internet or software that exists on GitHub and whatnot. But of course, there's huge amounts of software that are proprietary today because it's owned by, you know, companies that don't publish it for just about anyone to read, or don't, you know, release it to the public because it's their own data, and they obviously don't want everyone to know that. But, you know, if you leverage private AI training for this, you can build even better models for, you know, various things, but specifically for software as well, by telling these companies, hey, you can send us, your code base, which contains a bunch of data. You can send that to us in an encrypted manner so that if a human or even a computer were to look at it, they just see, ciphertext nonsense that they can't read. But you can still run the AI training on this in an encrypted manner, such that you can, get AI results either for inference for people working on the code base, or for training the better AI models that include whatever is included in that code base. So that was a lot of things.
But that's alpha. That's alpha. It means that you guys anticipated that move, with this acquisition. So that's a very good move already. So and I'm a little bit surprised. I'm a little bit mad, Nico and Milan, because we're in Hong Kong. You didn't tell me this. so now we know there is business we can do together, maybe on this aspect at least.
Well, okay. Well, good that I told you now, I guess, then.
Exactly. So I guess you hear it first. So that's a good alpha, and thank you for explaining all of this, Nico. That was a clear explanation for me, and also that's good. We have to talk off this call, after this call, then regarding that.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm excited about it actually. But then I have a question then. You guys mentioned different use cases, okay? You briefly touched the DeFi use cases, the AI one, the data layer one, and so on. So which one are you prioritizing, and why?
Yeah, so to start, we're prioritizing the DeFi use case, specifically just because we're a Solana native team, and the main inspiration at the very beginning behind why we started Arcium, as I told with the little elusive story earlier, was really that users, came to us and were like, hey, I want to use DeFi in a private manner where even the DeFi application itself is private. So, for us, the vision is still to enable that specifically, because this is something that we saw people wanted. And this is also something that I'm excited about, not beyond just regular, or not right, but beyond crypto people using it. I'm excited for this in terms of onboarding traditional finance as well, right? Because whenever I speak to someone who doesn't work in crypto and I tell them, hey, I work on crypto privacy, very often I get the answer from them that goes something like, oh, I thought crypto was private. And then, of course, I explain that it isn't. And I don't think I've ever gotten the follow-up comment of saying, oh, that's so great that everyone can, see what trades I'm doing, or everyone can see how much money I have. I wish my bank account worked like that. No one says this, of course. And this is especially, and this applies to both individual users, retail, but also to institutions. If you're, some big hedge fund or something, you probably don't want the whole world knowing what trades you're executing either. And in my opinion, seeing how, especially if you look at DeFi on Solana and all the developments that are made there, in terms of pricing and execution, things are almost or pretty much the same level as trading on a SEX these days in terms of pricing. So in my opinion, the only reason that, at least for the case of Solana, I can't speak as much for EVM-based chain because I'm not as familiar with those, but at least for the case of Solana, basically one of the only reasons that you have for still trading on a SEX today as opposed to trading on a DEX is that on a SEX you get some level of privacy. Of course, the central exchange itself knows what you're trading and whatnot, but at least not the entire world knows it, I suppose. And so, in my opinion, if we can bring that same level of privacy to decentralized finance, I think this is really the key differentiator that's still holding decentralized finance back from being on the same level as a centralized finance. That being said, this is the use case we're initially prioritizing. But as you can guess by the fact that we acquired Infer and we're investing resources in this as well. Obviously, AI is a huge unlock, in literally every other industry as well. So this one's super important for us as well on the roadmap.
And obviously, with AI agents, and especially in the DeFi case, you have more and more, let's say, AI agents that act as hedge funds manager, so they can trade autonomously and so on. So that's also something that you guys should leverage, and I'm pretty sure that you're working on this already, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. We think this, AI agent, I mean, yeah, DeFi is one thing, but yeah, as I said earlier, like AI is revolutionizing like literally every field. So
Yeah.
and we think privacy, as I touched upon earlier, is extremely relevant for those. So obviously, it makes sense for us to be working on that too.
Yes, definitely. And to come back to this, then, as you said, like AI will touch the different use cases that can be DeFi or whatever. And AI need GPUs. We are like GPU infrastructure. And as I said earlier as well, everyone is talking about like TEE and so on. So do you have as well like a play where you want to work like closer like with the different compute providers, the different data centers and so on in order to, like provide a solution to them, like an alternative to TEE and so on? Or like right now, that's not something that is already in discussion on your side?
No, absolutely. This is something that's a focus. And this is, actually from a technical standpoint, this is one of the key differentiators between Cerberus and Manticore, like the two NPC algorithms that we have. Cerberus specifically, as I mentioned, is more focused on like DeFi and whatnot. So for this one, like GPUs and whatnot aren't, as relevant. However, one of the key differentiators of Manticore as opposed to Cerberus is that this one specifically has built into the protocol that it can leverage GPUs. Because as you correctly said, like, if we wouldn't do this, then there isn't really any world in which these cryptographically based solutions would be able to compete with TEs if they don't, think both about the mathematical level of things, but also about the hardware level of things. So yeah.
Okay. And regarding this race of AI, like just globally, if we have to take like a higher overview, how do you feel about that, guys? Like you from a CTO point of view and Milian from your point of view, like how do you feel it? Do you embrace it, or do you see like pros and cons? Do you feel like it really increased as well like your efficiency as a team? Do you use Claude Cowork, Gemini, or all of this tool, or you're like, okay, careful, because we want to make sure that first of all, like it's secure, it respects a certain level of privacy, that like our data is secured as well. So how do you feel about all of this?
I definitely think AI makes people so much more efficient. So it's an extremely powerful tool. At the same time, once you use the same AI model over some time, for example, if you use Claude or ChatGPT, whatever, you can really see how well this AI knows you. So if you ask a simple question, tell me some things I don't really know about myself, you'll be shocked by how well this knows you and how much information it has on you. So I think one should definitely use AI to become more productive, more efficient, and the job market in general is getting very competitive, and we already see that AI is making it so that you don't necessarily need as many employees, because it makes the already employees so much more efficient. So I think it's definitely a skill to get used to using AI and all this. At the same time, be careful to not overshare your data, and if you do, choose a privacy preserving version, like running it locally or on encrypted data. So yeah, if you overshare too much and share this sensitive data, there's always going to be a risk of it leaking or being used against you. So everyone should be aware of this and know the complications this can have, and be careful not to overshare when you're sending data into plain text into some other server and it's being logged there.
I totally agree, specifically on like the locally run model thing as well, to be honest. Because for myself at least, I can say like from an engineering standpoint, it's definitely very helpful. Although there's limitations to it, as to all things, of course. But I think specifically for our use case as well, because there's clearly a difference if we're building some like little UI or user interface or something like this to display some information. For this one, you can ask Claude Code or whatever to build it for you. You can test it out. And then, if it works for the most part, it's good enough. But obviously, if I'm working on the cryptography library of Arcium, there I have to be a whole lot more careful because, if it's building a user interface and it's 90% correct, good enough. But if it's building a cryptography algorithm and it's 90% correct, that's absolutely not good enough because that 10% is going to break the whole protocol. Yeah. And about sharing things about yourself. This is also one of the reasons why I'm particularly excited about running AI in an encrypted manner. Because for myself, for example, I use public models such as Claude only for coding. But if I use it for anything that involves something that is not writing code, I only locally run models specifically for this reason, because I don't have insight about what the model does with that data, what the company behind it does with that data, and so on. But of course, this kind of sucks for multiple reasons. On one hand, it sucks because the very, very latest models, even though open source models are very good, like Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini are not open source, so you can't run them locally. And on the other hand as well, running models locally, if it's not the distilled version, requires quite a bit of hardware. So this also makes it, not accessible to, I would wager, most people who don't have a quite powerful computer / GPU, which is, and of course also makes it unfeasible to run it on your phone. So, this is why I'm also particularly excited about being able to run it in encrypted manner, because then you can say, oh, even if you have, $100 phone, or if you're running it on, a crappy laptop or something, you can still have both. You can have a great, you can have a non-distilled, really good model, but you can also have it running in an encrypted manner on some powerful server. But it doesn't matter that it runs on that powerful server because it runs in an encrypted manner. So that means the server doesn't learn anything about your prompt or the answer that it gives you or whatnot. Yeah.
Okay. And who do you think is gonna win that race? Because now it's going crazy. Google is pushing with Gemini. We have obviously OpenAI with ChatGPT. We have Claude. We have I feel like if you sleep for a week and you wake up, then it's already too late because the advancement, the progress are so quick. So right now, by the end of the year, who do you think is gonna win the year or is gonna be really ahead?
Well, I would hope Quen or something so I can run it locally. But yeah, realistically, honestly, yeah, I can't say. It feels like, in terms of really cutting edge models for coding, at least, I don't know for other use cases. Yeah, as you said, it feels like every week there's someone else leading it. So yeah. Million, do you have an opinion on that? Or?
No, I mean it's very competitive, and yeah, as you say, Nico, it's there's always a new model beating the old benchmarks, and it just continues like this. There's probably a poly market up regarding which model is going to be the best in terms of these benchmarks, but I haven't checked. So yeah, for me, it's hard to know. But I think open source models are usually 6 to 9 months behind the proprietary models. So I think it's going to be one of the proprietary ones, and but I think it's very important to push open source models as well, because you get way more flexibility. You can run it locally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a tight race for sure.
Yeah, it's a race that you guys I'm pretty sure will follow closely, because obviously you're focusing on the DeFi use cases, but AI is progressing, and I think there is a huge play, especially for privacy, because people want to protect their data. At least that's what we see as well from Nosana, all the startups that come and they want to run the AI workload using our GPUs, our marketplace and so on. They ask this question for the privacy, and it's gonna be a big matter sooner or later. And that's also why I'd like to have you to hear it a little bit, because you've been there for a while. You did the acquisition as well, so I'm pretty sure as well that you you have some good like insight regarding that aspect. So yeah, so it's good that you share this all this information to the audience, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we still have like a little bit of time. Let's use this time like properly. You know, as you mentioned, Nico and you, Million, you guys like crypto, and crypto, what people like, they like alpha. You know, they follow Arcium and so on. So what should be the alpha, and where should they follow it, and where should they, you know, like where can they follow you as well on Twitter?
Yeah, Million.
Yeah, I mean, I think the alpha that we can share, you know, I think we have some new cool ecosystem teams building on top of Arcium. Based on what I've seen, like we Arcium has by far the biggest privacy 2.0 ecosystem. We have teams building a lot of different use cases. You know, Arcium can be used for a lot of different things. So we see teams building new sorts of information markets, like opportunity markets, a sort of prediction market, right? We have a recent team building sealed bid auctions. So we get sealed bid auctions for the first time on Solana for fundraising. And, you know, Umbra obviously is going live on a public release very, very soon, anytime soon. So definitely keep an eye out for that. It's the first app that is live on Arcium, and it has quite some good traction. So yeah, like the ecosystem is very exciting to watch. Regarding me, there'll probably be some alpha on my Twitter profile. I share my opinions. Sometimes they're a bit controversial. Sometimes they are insightful, but yeah, I think so at least. So can always follow me on X at millionstx. So yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Million.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. And yeah, I guess more broadly for, you know, if you're a developer watching this, for example, what might be of interest to you as well is that, you know, since you said alpha, Arcium is on mainnet alpha since, I think like since a month or something like this. So yeah, this basically means that, you know, if you're building an application with Arcium now, yeah, you can deploy it on mainnet and actually get real users using it. You know, as opposed to it being only available on DevNet previously. And yeah, you know, obviously I'm the CTO of Arcium, so I'm a bit biased in this sense. But I truly believe that when I say it really is like a new frontier that you're unlocking if you're building with Arcium. In the same sense that if you are building on, you know, Ethereum in 2021 and then switched over to Solana, wherein, you know, you could just build apps that weren't possible on ETH1 back then just because of the fees being too high or the speed being too low. It's the same idea today, in my opinion, that like if you're a builder on Solana today, you know, you don't have to go away from Solana. Your app still lives on Solana, but by integrating Arcium, you can build applications that were fundamentally not possible before. Not because it's, you know, faster or cheaper or anything, but just because you can now truly build smart contracts that have fully private shared state. So yeah, and yeah, if you want to learn more about that, you know, you can follow Million, or you can follow the Arcium account. It's just at Arcium on Twitter. And yeah, if you go to our website, we have some, you know, in my opinion, good docs on there as well about how to build with it. You can either read them yourself, or as I mentioned earlier, we have Cloud Code skills on that as well. So you can just, you know, give that to your AI agent, see what it thinks. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So a lot of alpha. Congratulations again, guys, for the mainnet. A lot of good information regarding like the product, regarding AI, regarding the compute, privacy. Everything has been touched. And I think there was a lot of insight that have been shared, guys. It was a pleasure to have you here. Like, be safe during these weird times right now. Enjoy Hong Kong. Million, I don't know where you are right now. Like probably in Europe somewhere. And like enjoy it as well. It's a pleasure, guys. And we're gonna talk about the acquisition and the all the stuff like after this call, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. You stay safe as well.
What did you say?
You stay safe as well. You're in
Yes,
Dubai,
yes.
right?
I'm in Dubai. Yeah, I'm in Dubai right now, so it's pretty calm. I was talking to you guys and watching the sky, but like
Yeah.
it's pretty multitasking, but it's pretty calm right now. So luckily everything is good. I'm safe. We're safe, and we can still build.
Awesome.
Okay,
Awesome,
nice.
man.
I hope to see you soon, guys, in Miami, hopefully, and take care.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you, man.
See ya.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.